Hey guys, let's talk really basic one-point perspective for those of you who are struggling with this concept. So I have this sheet with our shapes printed out, and we want to add our orthogonal lines and cut lines to make it look like it is three-dimensional and going back into space to our vanishing point. So to begin, I'm going to use blue for our orthogonal lines. Those are the lines that connect the corners and edges of shapes to the vanishing point. So lining my ruler up with the vanishing point, I just want to slide it over to the first corner that I come to on this triangular shape, connect the line, go to the next corner, connect with the line to the vanishing point, and the top corner, connect with the line to the vanishing point. Those are our orthogonal lines in blue. So right now it looks as though that shape is either going back into space or coming forward, depending on how you see it. Our cut lines are the lines that we use to show how far back our shape goes. It gives it depth and shows where it ends. That can be anywhere between the edge of the shape all the way back towards the vanishing point. That's kind of up to you to decide in this particular situation because we're looking at abstract shapes. They're not real. So I'm just going to add a cut line somewhere in between. Your cut line is always parallel to the shape that you're showing where it ends. So it's going to be parallel to this angle of the triangle, that segment. And then we also want to end this side. So going at the same angle, coming from where our cut line met that corner orthogonal, go parallel to that shape. A lot of students want to add multiple cut lines. I don't know why that is, but for whatever reason they want to, we would erase these orthogonal lines because we no longer need them, and that would just show where our object ends. That triangle form is now three-dimensional. Looking over here at one that maybe is a little more complex. Again, we're going to meet our vanishing point with our edges of our shapes. When I look at this corner, I can't connect that corner to the vanishing point without drawing through this shaded area that represents the front plane or panel of my shape. So I wouldn't be able to see that unless my shape was see-through. So I'm not going to draw anything there. Same thing goes for this bottom corner. I can't connect that corner to my vanishing point without drawing through my shape. So leave it be. I will connect this one though, because I can connect to the vanishing point without drawing through my shape. And then this corner here, that angle that jets out, would also connect. So if you were adding in your cut lines, I'm going to add them in blue because my red pen is dying, or pink pen, parallel to the shape, the original shape. For a circular object, I usually line up my ruler with my vanishing point, slide it over until it touches the edge of the form or the shape, and then connect my edges and do the same thing on the outside. Your cut lines for circular shapes, again, they are parallel to the shape itself. So my cut line would be circular, just like my shape. That's all. Moving on to one that's slightly more complex. This one has some inner corners, some cutouts, a hollow section, some curves, so it makes it a little more difficult. Let's start with this triangular type shape, that angle. I'm going to start right there in the middle. A lot of students tend to overlook these inner corners, but just like the inner corner of a room, you can still see that line that shows that there's a corner there. Next, I'm going to go here and here. When you have multiple objects like this, it's often best to start with the ones closest to your vanishing point so that you can figure out with your ones that are farther away how your orthogonal lines would meet up to that shape with the other shapes, the adjacent shapes, without drawing through them. And that is all the orthogonal lines I'd be able to see. I've got this corner here, but I can't draw that without going through my shape, so I leave it be. Again, cut lines are always parallel to the object, so across, up, down, across, up, down, across. And again, in pencil, we would erase these extra marks that we don't need. Looking at that curved shape, that's one that a lot of students have trouble with. Again, when we work with curves, we line our ruler up on our vanishing point, slide it down until it touches the edge of the curve. I'm not going to draw through that angular shape that's next to it. I'm just going to draw right up against it. And let your orthogonal line meet the edge of the curve. We would also see this point, this point, this point, and this point. These were not meant to be done in Sharpie, but I wanted to make sure that you were able to see my lines, so I picked something thick and bold. And again, or cut lines mimic the shape. They're parallel, so curved, across. Inside here, you want to match up the depth that you have between the end of the object and the beginning on this side. So here's the beginning, and we just kind of mimic that depth and go across. The star is not particularly tricky. It just has a lot of points. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 potential angles that can connect to that vanishing point. A lot of them you're not going to be able to see without drawing through the shape itself. So like this guy here, this guy here, none of those are visible without drawing through the shape. But I could see this one, that one, sliding all the way over to the outside, this one. I'd see that little interior corner. And I would see this one. And again, if you can't just look at it and tell whether or not you'd see it, try it out with your ruler. Line your ruler up with the corner and the vanishing point. And if you can't connect the orthogonal line to the vanishing point without drawing through the object, then you wouldn't be able to see it from the angle you're looking at it from. That's what perspective is 100% about. I want to show you this one only because it confuses a lot of students when they look at it. This is supposed to represent a solid box type shape with a hollow cutout through it, so like a hallway almost. So not only would you connect the vanishing points along, or not vanishing points, the orthogonal lines along the outside of that shape, you would also be able to see into it. So looking at our orthogonals, connecting the corners that we can see without drawing through our box. And then if we're looking into our box, this is an open space. We can't see this corner because it's blocked by the edge of the box, that front panel. We can't see this one because it's blocked by that front plane as well. This one we can't connect it because it's blocked by that front view, but this one we can. So let's try connecting this corner to our vanishing point. And I'm going to stop when I get to the edge of the box because again, this is solid. We can't see through it. Your cut lines, again, are parallel to the shapes to which they show where they end. So across, down. I want to try and match up that depth that I have here on this top plane with the bottom. So across, looking at this line, and then up the side. A lot of times it helps to add shading because then you can kind of really see what it would look like if it were three-dimensional. And the fact that I'm not able to erase the unnecessary orthogonal lines also makes it a little bit tricky. Moving on to one that is slightly more difficult, but honestly, not really. We have some letters and symbols. The trick to doing the hashtag one is to remember that your lines your cut lines are going to be parallel to the object. So when you add your cut lines to your orthogonals, it's going to make that similar shape to the hashtag sign. I'm not going to use my ruler, so bear with me. I'm just going to try and do this really quick because I know you all don't like long videos. So if I'm connecting the corners to my orthogonal line, all those edges, outer edge, inner edge, outer. I can't see that one without drawing through the shape. Over here, same concept, because we can see into the shape, right? I can see this little flap of an edge over here. Don't want to miss those, because those are the kinds of things that really make it look complete. Now adding in cut lines. Again, we're going parallel to the object itself. So across, down, makes this edge. Across, down. Oh, I missed a line, look. Across, down. Over, down. This one looks a little confusing, but remember, we're just kind of matching it up to this edge. So if this was where that top edge met, this one comes in like that. Across, down. And then again, coming inward towards that edge. And because of the depth that I've given myself here, I don't really need to do anything over here, because where those cut lines would be somewhere back here where I can't see them behind these side panels of the object. Again, with these curves on the R, same concept as with any other round shape or curved shape. You just line up your ruler with your vanishing point, find that edge where it meets, that's your cut line. There's no sharp edge here, so I don't necessarily think that you'd have a true cut line that would connect, but if you use something like shading to kind of show that there's a curve, that might help you to visually be able to see what you're doing. Do these inner corners, each of these little serif shapes. Same thing over here. And mine printed out funky, but you get the idea. Connect that little flap. Cut lines parallel to the shape itself. And there's your R. S, same concept, connect your edges. Let's see something there, maybe a little bit here. And then add in lines that are parallel. This guy, we can't see where that line ends up, so we know that our cut line is going to be something like that, where it meets the edge of the shape. And the ampersand, again, don't let these more complicated shapes freak you out. They are the exact same as the simpler shapes. There's just more to them. Look at those little tiny edges. And your cut lines are going to be parallel to the shape. Around there, there. And if I were ending that edge, probably I'm looking at this edge here, you'd be able to see that guy. And I know that these are a little intimidating for people whose spatial reasoning isn't quite as developed as some of their other skills. But again, follow those simple rules. Use your vanishing point to connect every edge and corner that you would be able to see without drawing through the object. Keep your cut lines parallel to the object itself and try and maintain the same depth from the front panel of the shape to the cut line as you draw. As long as you can remember those rules, you're probably going to do a decent job getting this done. And again, this exercise is just to build your skill and to show me what you're capable of at this point in time. So do not over stress.